Welcome, friends and enemies, to episode 64 of the Adventures of the Vainglorious. We have everybody here over Zoom. We have Simon.
Hello.
We have Jess.
Hello.
We have Kathryn.
Hello.
Who's a lich for some reason.
Fucking ASMR episode.
And we have
I don't know where my microphone is it? Or is it
Hello.
Is this louder?
Hello.
Yes, because you
Say
got it in your
louder.
mouth.
So this is the mic.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, last time you were dealing with the aftermath of the failsafe that had destroyed the Fort Argent and left the main castle in ruins. Lor'athel had managed to get around 25 people out of the gates and to safety. Juniper and Flint spotted that Erallur had appeared from nowhere in the centre of the magical column and went to investigate whether she was all right. It turned out that she was unconscious but still alive, and after some discussions and going backwards and forwards and working out what the best course of action was, you discovered the severed arm of Braunwent, Erallur's father, and Lor'athel and Erallur performed something of a burial ceremony for said arm when they couldn't find the rest of him. After this, you spent the night at the top of one of the towers over the gates to Fort Argent, and Flint was able to destroy what is apparently the very last broken body of one of the wilderness moths. You then set off down back into Faerun proper and decided that you would head to Hartvale and Castle Hartwick to see if the remaining members of the Crimson Hunt and the members of the small population at Fort Argent could claim refuge there, and were found by a scout along the way who decided that they would take you to Castle Hartwick to see Queen Artemisia. I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sounds pretty up to date.
Okay. So you are currently wandering through a very cold, snow-covered fir forest with Erallur at the front alongside one of the Castle Hartwick scouts, who is dressed very simply in hardy brown leathers. What would you like to do?
I would like to ask the scout for some advice.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna ask them, can you tell me some more about your, I don't know what they'd be called, not masters, like people. Employers, yeah, whatever the word would be.
You mean the crown and
Yeah,
the nobility? Well, what would you like to know?
the noble family, yeah. Do you expect them to be welcoming to refugees, or?
Well, I mean, it's an odd time of year for it. We're a little bit resource strapped on the ground, as hunting's a little bit harsh, but there's not many of them, and I can't see it being a problem.
Okay, so they're not going to turn us away?
I mean, I can't say I know their entire minds, but it seems perfectly reasonable, particularly as some of your scouts seem very capable and the rest are family or wounded. I would feel a little unpleasant of the crown to turn them away.
Good, and then I just give him a hearty slap on the back and carry on walking.
He looks slightly bemused, but carries on.
I'm not very strong. So.
Yeah. It's more of a gnat tap.
Mm.
The rest of you, do you want to do anything?
There was the baby. How's the baby looking?
Baby looks all right. Everybody's been very aware and taking good care of it. Seraphine has been casting Goodberry with copious frequency and feeding everybody. So it seems like it's getting the nutrition it needs and also is dealing with the cold relatively well. The mother has managed to fashion something of a papoose, so it keeps the baby close to her body and can share her body heat. It is less cold down here than up on the glacier, so whilst still cold, it's not quite as biting. And this day is quite clear, so there's no current snowfall, although the ground is covered in snow already.
I'll just keep looking around, see if there's anything that could pose a potential threat, anything like that at all.
Okay, make a perception check then.
Okay. 6.
6. Doesn't appear to be anything. You see a squirrel race across the path in front of you and stop briefly to stare at the large group of people and then skitters off, chittering to itself. You see a few birds circling overhead, but they're quite small. Seems like a flock of blackbirds. Not much else.
How far away from Hartsvale?
Hartsvale is the place you are in.
Right.
It's the
Castle...
larger territory. Castle Hartwick.
Hartwick. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're already in Hartsvale, heading towards Castle Hartwick.
Yeah,
How
and-
far away is that?
Couple of hours.
Okay. And what sort of time of day is it?
At this point, it would be 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay. So we've got scouts.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I'd need to instruct them, but can we send some of them ahead to check to see if, like Flint was doing for dangers, but also potentially even send one ahead to the castle
Yeah.
to let them know
do
we're
that.
coming?
So one of them sprints ahead and agrees to go ahead to the castle. The scout that is guiding your way also decides that they will go along with that scout in order to vouch for them and also leave you to have your own conversations. It feels a little bit awkward and stilted at the moment. The other 3 disappear into the underbrush and for a while at least don't seem to come back. One of them comes back fairly quickly and says that they don't seem to have found anything. And then as you progress and another half hour goes by, the other one comes back again, doesn't find anything. And then when you're no more than a mile from the castle, the third one comes back at around the same time as the fourth one that you sent ahead to the castle. The third one says that he found wolf tracks, but no sign of the actual wolves. And the one who you sent to the castle comes back saying, apparently Queen Artemisia will have an audience with us, but we may have to wait a little while. She's currently at a banquet.
Okay. So resources aren't that low.
I couldn't possibly comment, milady.
Okay. Thank you.
So do you continue on to the castle?
Yeah.
Okay. You eventually circle round slightly further than you thought the road would lead. You thought that the road would lead fairly straight into the castle proper, but it seems to actually curve round and go up the hill the opposite side to the way that you've been approaching. And you can see a fairly traditional castle. The main feature is the amount of towers that this has that seem to be buttressed away from the central column of the building. There are quite a few more than a traditional castle would carry, which usually suggests that they've been added on over time as the noble house has swelled in number. And that seems to be the main oddity of the place. Other than that, it seems a fairly traditional feudal keep. And as you head up, you are allowed by 2 guards who are again in simple leathers. They don't even cross their pikes. They just allow you entry as if they're expecting you. And you come into the castle town, which is slightly smaller than the citadel at Fort Argent, but you can see that deeper into the forest, away from the angle that you came at it, there are some smoke plumes going up, quite a few more, which suggests that the majority of the people live down the hill and in a little copse down there.
So we're heading towards the main castle, presumably. So I guess we're going to head wherever seems to be the entrance and then we'll await instruction.
So if you're looking for the castle entrance, can I ask you to make investigation checks then, please, whoever's looking?
Okay. So that scout who went with ours didn't come back again?
No, that one didn't.
Okay. What are we doing? Investigation?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong number. Natural 20! Yay! I feel like I did this last time. The first roll was a natural 20.
Yeah, I can't remember. You definitely rolled a natural 20 at some point. So yes, you head straight to the main doors of the castle through quite a few people moving around outside despite the cold. And there are peddlers selling their wares and yelling at each other and trying to get people interested in their cheaper prices. But you skit around them all, and whilst a few people turn to stare, most are just engrossed in their business. And you manage to actually come to the main doors. There's no guards outside, they are closed, but the scout who went in before says, they just said if we wait in the courtyard that we would be asked to come in and see the Queen soon after.
Okay. Are we in the courtyard?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, so I'll just turn around and check on everyone.
Yeah, make an insight check.
Ooh, 23.
Wow. Yeah, you can see that the scouts seem to be fairly confident that they'll be accepted, mainly because they know their skills and they know that if supplies are low, then they might be quite useful. The rest of the refugees look a little bit nervous. They maybe are thinking that if they're not skilled, that they might not be as easily accepted, but they seem to place their faith in all of you, having seen you save them and lead them this far.
I'm going to do my best to do a nice reassuring nod to
Okay.
everyone.
They're very different skill sets. They should all be aware of that.
Make a persuasion check.
Oh man, I rolled so well until this point. And this is the one at least I have a +8 on. 12.
Okay, yeah, they seem reassured. They're still a little nervous, but there's a little bit of the straightening of backs and nervous smiles coming your way.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you wait in the courtyard. You continue waiting. Around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a young girl cracks the door open slightly and pokes her head out. She has dirty blonde hair. She is wearing a little cap that sits a little bit too big over her quite small ears. And she looks at you with very clear blue eyes and says, "Are you the refugees?"
Yes.
Right.
No.
Her Majesty will see you now in the main hall. Please follow me. And she opens the door a little bit more, and you can see that she's wearing a smaller version of the leathers of everybody else that, again, are just still too big for her.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Do you follow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I assume I do.
Yeah, I think it would be weird not to follow at this point.
Juniper just stops and stays
Yeah.
there forever.
Yes. Enshrined in time. She was
It's
just,
the end of her adventure.
yes.
Oh.
Okay, so you continue on. You are led into a fairly mud-covered entry hall. You can see that there are a few men and women with bows and quivers of arrows that are standing ready. They eye you a little bit nervously, but don't make a move against you and don't come to question you or anything. And you can see that on the table behind them, there's quite a large buck that they are in the process of skinning. As you move past, you can see that rather than the traditional hunting trophies that you would expect in a place called Hartsvale, the walls are completely unadorned. You can see that there are a couple of fires further into this entrance hall, closer to the grander doors that stand at the other end, and a few people are warming their hands and chatting whilst you walk past. The girl starts to skip and then seems to remember herself and then starts walking very slowly and very solemnly until the point where you all start to almost overtake her, at which point she then just runs a little bit to try and get back ahead again.
You know the people that you said are standing by the fires? What are they, well-to-do people or?
Roll a perception check.
21.
A few of them seem to be wearing more expensive looking clothing. You can see that most of them seem to be in velvets of some kind, and even one lady who is still shivering whilst rubbing her hands vigorously is wearing silk, which seems a bad idea considering the temperature. They're not terribly well to do, but obviously better off than the individuals who were back closer to the doors.
Mhm.
So as you reach the second set of doors, you can see that they are carved with two great fir trees, one on each door. And the girl lifts the rather heavy-looking iron wrought handle and knocks twice, at which point a voice rings out saying, "Enter!" And the girl pulls the door open, and you can see a slightly weaselly-looking man who has a pencil moustache. He is balding, but is very obviously trying to hide it, and is wearing slightly dilapidated velvet of his own, which includes an overlong tailcoat and breeches that end just after the knee, with what were once white socks that should reach up to the entirety of the trouser, but just keep falling down. And he is very self-consciously continuing to pull them up. And as the girl comes in, she says, "My Lord Chamberlain, the refugees." And he says, "Oh, very good, very good, very good. Queen Artemisia will see you now. What should I announce you as? What are your names, please?"
You can. Well, I mean, would our scout? What did our scout announce us as when they came to announce us?
To be honest, my lady, I don't listen to the help.
Okay. You can call us the
Bane Glorious, fresh from Fort Argent with refugees. We need urgent assistance.
But it's not just. I mean, it's also people from Fort Argent who lived there who are not his friend.
The Vainglorious and guests.
Yeah.
We're expanding our operation slightly.
Plus one.
I see.
25.
You from Fort Argent, you said?
Yes.
Right. And you just see him glance down at your hand, Erallur. The one with the signet ring. And
Well, it's
his
nice
eyes.
that he knew I was the one that he should check the.
Yeah, he wasn't. Like, what are
He
you doing,
made
guys?
a general perception check and he rolled a 19.
Okay, good.
So he was looking everybody up and down, but he fixated on that.
I feel
You
like
get-
it's one of those moments where they ask for the manager and you're like, I am the manager.
Yeah.
He knew. He knew I was the manager.
Weirdly, his name is KAR''EN.
Oh, good.
That was a joke. It's not, but
Please, can it be though?
I really want to.
Ren!
I shall make it canon.
Yay.
So, Lord Chamberlain KN leads you into the chamber.
Car Ren. It could be like
Yeah,
Car Ren.
I know exactly what haircut he has now as well.
Yes. So it leads you into the chamber, and you now see, awaiting at the other end of this incredibly large chamber. It's about triple the size of the entrance hall, and that was already quite long. There are fires that run the length, pretty much. There's 6 fireplaces on either side, all lit. Erallur, you are not used to this at all.
Presumably it's all a bit bigger and grander than Fort
Yes,
Argent.
yeah. And there are velvets hanging everywhere.
Not very safe.
No, can you make a nature check, Kathryn?
Me, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I dropped it.
You can roll it again if you want.
Rolling on a box. Natural 20.
Oh, this velvet you would know comes specifically from the velvet of deer antlers. It is obviously a resource that they harvest and use quite a lot.
Okay.
But again, there are not hunting trophies.
Do I get the impression that maybe that's because they like to use every part of it and they don't want to keep any as decorative?
Partially. The lack of trophies, though, and the single buck that you saw outside suggests that they have a slightly less hunted relationship with deer specifically.
Does it seem more reverential?
It's possible that it is more
right.
reverential, and the buck you saw outside may have died of natural causes, and then
Okay.
they're using it for meat after that fact.
They're Okay, interesting.
Does this tell us anything about what they might be like as people?
Depends whether Erallur passes that information on.
I feel like voices carry in this hall,
Yeah.
probably, so I don't think I would necessarily.
Okay.
Because otherwise
Yeah,
I'd just be
it
like
is-
whispering, that velvet's made from deer antlers.
Yeah.
Those velvets made from those velvets.
So, as you walk further down, you can see in front of a large window of stained glass that depicts a moon rising over a pool in the middle of a forest, one half of which has evergreen trees, the other half of which has shedding trees. There is a grand chair that, again, is finished in the same velvet but dyed a rich purple. And it has a couple of steps up to the seat and a large grand back that is carved but still covered in that velvet to resemble antlers. It is currently unoccupied.
In any lessons I had about local-ish families, do I remember being told anything about their weird thing about deers?
Roll a history check.
9.
There was no real mention of a religious reverence of deer about the Hartwicks. You were given a brief description of the various noble families that were nearby and the fact that they rejected your family's calls for aid quite frequently. But there wasn't really a focus on the spiritual aspects of the families, mainly because your family wasn't really that spiritual.
Okay. When you say they rejected my family's call for aid frequently, do I know why that would be? Is there bad blood there, or is it just...
Not necessarily. It's just that your family couldn't really offer them much. It was the sense that, oh, well, you say you're defending us from the world, but we've never really seen any evidence of that, so why would we believe you? And also, we don't want to come to your castle because it's bloody cold.
But
It's King's Landing, basically.
Essentially.
Bobby was she was the fiance of what's his name?
Yes, so something may well have changed.
Your brother.
Something may well have changed in recent times, but the history education that you had.
Going to need to remember that before we go talk to that family. I've been to another planet in this time. I don't remember. Michael, what was her name?
I need to look it up. Bear with me, because I can't remember.
Yeah, I feel like Erallur the character would remember, even if Kathryn the person doesn't remember. I also can't remember. So.
Oh yeah, there was that jailer guy. I'm just going through all my notes now. Thaddeus dies.
I can't find it, unfortunately.
What, the name?
Yeah.
Crowdsource it.
It's literally...
Oh, it's literally written right in front of your
Wherever I
face.
left my notes. Tiana, there
we go.
in bold and everything. I'm going to rewrite that at the bottom so I don't forget. There we go.
Okay, so you're taken to stand in front of the chair. There is a small section of carpet that is a red, rich square just down the flight of steps from the chair. And the Lord Chamberlain turns to you, Erallur, and says, I will just go and get Her Majesty, and if you wouldn't mind, please all kneel here and do not look up until she asks you to.
Wow. Okay.
Kneeling.
Do I?
I'm sorry. What was that?
Did you say kneel?
Yes, Her Majesty demands proper respect, Master Dwarf.
Fuck that!
Please, your language is quite inappropriate. Please watch your
Would
tongue.
I know if my family would have knelt? I feel like Lord Braunwent wouldn't stand for this. He would stand for this.
I feel like that's your call, really, Kathryn.
It depends, because I think if he would refuse, that means that there might have been, hostility, even if it's not proper hostile. It's pretty awkward, isn't it?
Yeah.
It depends if he would have been in a position where they would ask him to. I mean, does the fact that they're asking us to kneel mean that they think that they're our superior? In which
Usually,
case,
yes.
he probably wouldn't, because am I right in thinking they're not? I mean,
Roll a
they
history
have
check.
certain things. Okay. Ooh, rolling all right today so far.
You jinxed it now.
The
Very
natural
Game of
20.
It's a dirty 20.
Nice. So your father was a lord, but didn't really report to any king.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose in his head, he would imagine that the territory and the soldiers under his command would make him equivalent. But in the heads of the lords, ladies, kings, queens, rulers of Faerun and the city-states and all of that sort of stuff, he was probably closer to more of a feudal lord to them.
Mm-hmm.
And because nobody really wanted his territory, they were perfectly happy to let him think that he was equal to them. But you'd imagine that a lot of them would feel like you were their inferiors. And the fact that Artemisia claims the title of queen suggests that she is of royal blood, at least within Hartsvale.
I feel like I have the biggest choice to make ever.
Clementine will remember that.
What do the people behind me seem to be doing?
The members of the public just knelt as soon as the Chamberlain asked them to. The soldiers look a little bit annoyed, similar to Flint, and seem to be taking their lead from you.
Okay. Do I know if legally are we actually in the territory? If she is a queen,
Yes.
was Fort Argent in that?
No.
Okay. So I don't have, what's the word? I don't have to show.
No, you don't have to.
Thingy, what's it? Okay.
Like, she's walked in, she's sat down,
She's just like,
But should we?
tapping her fingers.
Any spells that would be useful.
There's dribble running down your
underwear.
cheek.
I mean, I would assume if she's like, yes, you can stay, they would then all be subjects, right?
That's true.
Essentially, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I'm going to look around me. I mean, I've done this already. And
Look around
contemplate. It's the politics edition.
Melt the
And
throne.
then-
If there's no throne, there's no queen.
And then I'm going to very carefully kneel.
Okay.
Yeah.
To the rest of you?
I'm going to follow very reluctantly Erallur's lead on this.
I'm
I
not
think.
as reluctant
Likewise.
as Flint is.
Okay. Juniper?
Yeah, I feel like as soon as she was asked to kneel, Juniper would have started to kneel, but then when Flint kicked off, she would have stopped and
Okay.
has been
What, halfway down?
Yeah, she's basically been like, her legs have been like half knelt for like while people are doing this.
Just doing
This
a
is
squat,
how we
basically.
see
Sounds like a dog
Juniper's
squat.
distrust of the monarchy.
This is just like, but then when Erallur kneels, she'll just go all the way down.
Okay, so you were
He
doing a
does not
lunge
understand
for the majority of that time.
Yeah, she's just standing there.
Roll a strength saving throw.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? That sounds fun.
When I kneel, Juniper just collapses.
Well,
That
she's
is,
on a
my-
rug by a fire.
Oh hell yeah, I'm gonna burn alive. It's gonna be a great session.
I think he meant sleep.
Yeah.
Sure. I got a 19.
Okay,
With
yeah,
the
you
plus
managed to
seven,
maintain
right?
that.
That's pretty good.
You maintain that lunge.
Oh,
It
fucking
burns slightly, but
house.
yeah, you manage it. And then eventually, as Erallur kneels, the rest of you do, and the other
Oh, that Joe Wicks. Yeah.
members of the Crimson Hunt also kneel. Have we lost Jess?
Possibly.
Oh, there we
No,
go.
she's here.
Oh no,
There we
we're
go.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's pretty choppy though.
bit dicey.
You,
Ugh.
no. I can hear you fine, but obviously you can't really hear me.
You're
You're
back
better
now.
can hear
now.
you.
You're back now.
Never mind.
No, it's not.
It just came a message to say your internet connection. Oh.
Oh.
It's like gaming with GLaDOS at the moment.
Yeah, we could. It's intermittent.
Okay, cool. We'll keep going and see how it goes.
Boop boop beep.
Okay, so once you've all knelt, the Chamberlain bows to you and skitters backwards out of the room.
Can I insight check him and see if he seems afraid or I don't know,
Dick.
or in on some big joke or something? I don't know.
Roll an insight check. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, actually, she doesn't like people kneeling at all, and he's just like,
Yeah.
put us at the deep end.
12.
It doesn't seem like he's tricking you. He just seems a very obsequious, sycophantic kind of gentleman. And perhaps that's how he's got his position.
Okay.
But yeah, it doesn't seem like there's anything tricksy about him.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
So he opens a door and then extravagantly bows as a woman starts to almost glide out of the door. She is wearing a dress with an incredibly long train of mixed velvet and ermine. The dress itself is the same purple as the velvet on the chair. And as you look at her, you can see that she has milk white skin, verdant green eyes, slightly pointed ears, suggesting half-elven ancestry. And upon her head sits a crown crafted from pieces of actual antler bone, two of which rise in prongs and angle back over the head. She walks...
But we can't see this because we're not looking at her because they told us
Well,
not to look.
true.
Sorry,
Well, I
carry
don't
on.
know. Are you bowing to the extent that you're not looking?
Well, he told us not to look at her till she...
Yeah,
What did
so
he say? Don't look
until
until
she
she
asked, yeah.
speaks. Okay.
So Erallur,
So
you're
I'm-
not looking. The rest of you,
I'm
are
not.
you
I'd like
are
to
you
hear the description though.
snatching a glance at all?
Yes.
I won't risk it.
Okay, Lor'athel, are you trying to do so surreptitiously?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay, make a stealth check
It's
then.
just like,
Do I have to do armor disadvantage?
Don't get
Not for this, no. No, because
Okay, 15.
you're just moving your head.
Clink.
Yeah,
And-
so you just flick your eyes to the side. You don't really lift your head, but you do manage to catch a glimpse of her, and she doesn't seem to notice. She walks over to the chair and then takes the couple of steps, gathers her skirts around her, and manages to sweep them very elegantly so that they ripple down the steps and almost touch the red carpet in front of you. And then there is a moment where the Chamberlain shuts the door and you hear it click. And then a short period of silence as she seems to be looking you up and down as far as you can tell. And then eventually says, "Greetings. Welcome to my court. I'm told I have the pleasure of addressing denizens of Fort Argent, although I hear it is at a rather unfortunate time for you. Please, stand."
I stand up, but I still look at the floor because she didn't say to look at
Okay.
her. Yeah.
I stand and just proper old man like, ugh, ugh, just look up at the ceiling a bit, crack my back, and oh, fucking hell.
Are you quite all right?
Yeah,
Master
just
Dwarf?
tough couple of days. You know how it is. Maybe you don't. Sorry.
Well, I would
We
like
should have
to
pretended
be
that he was the Zalvir person.
just to
It would have
confuse
been
her.
funnier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have been told a little of your scout's report, but you may gaze upon me.
But
Please elaborate your situation. I understand you are refugees.
so I'll look up at that point. Queen Artemisia. I'm assuming that's she acknowledges
Yeah,
that.
she gives a small incline of her head.
I am Erallur Zalvir.
A pleasure to meet you, my lady.
And you. Thank you for accommodating us and seeing us.
It is the basic requirement of hospitality. There is no need for thanks of any kind.
You say you know slightly of our predicament. I'll see if I can fill you in briefly. Our entire fort, and I'm assuming like mostly all of the villages as well, are
Well,
they outside?
Yeah, given that the fire seems to have ravaged a large portion of it, yes.
Has been destroyed. these are the only survivors that we're aware of. We have come here seeking refuge, whether short-term or long-term, I'm not sure at the moment. I'm willing to hopefully converse with you about that if you're welcome to it.
I see. And am I to understand that your Lord Father was among the casualties?
I believe so. I have reason to believe so.
And she takes a breath and looks away from you for a moment and nods, and then says, my condolences, Lady Erallur. I am sorry to hear it. We may not have been gracious friends in life, but I respected your father.
I appreciate that.
So, you say that you seek respite and refuge for these folk. Am I to
Certainly for these people, and I gesture at everyone except us.
Ah, I see. Don't interrupt me. And there's a brief, slight ice to her stare. And the Chamberlain swings his head and looks daggers at you.
Yes.
Am I to understand that you do not require refuge for yourself?
Myself and my companions here were not living at Fort Argent at the time, so longer term will not require a place to live.
I see. So you had returned home and then lost it. Ah, unfortunate. I find myself sorry again. Well, I see that some of your foundlings are quite capable of scouting the woods and forests. Their armor suggests so. The families I can find place for within either my household or the household of some of my noble families, if you so wish. I don't see that being a problem. They can certainly be rewarded for hard work, and it is hard work up here, but anybody who lived out on the high ice will understand that. Your proposal is accepted, Lady Erallur.
Can I just turn around and see if I get the impression that these people want to stay here?
Roll an insight check.
23.
It seems like people are relatively happy with it. The Crimson Hunt are a little bit flattered by Queen Artemisia's attention and the fact that she seems able to understand that they would be capable. The rest of them seem a little nervy still, but less so now that she's said that if they're willing to work hard, then they will find a place. And they are very aware of the reality of the fact that their previous home is not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see as well that Seraphine looks very out of place and very aware of the fact that she is out of place. Whereas Helagon just seems to be looking around quite curiously and not really paying attention.
Yeah. I'll turn back and smile at the Queen. Thank you. That is very kind and generous. Would it now be appropriate to discuss, would it be appropriate soon to discuss details? I don't know, is there someone in my group who's like, did any of the survivors, were there any of them people that worked in the fort that know any of that stuff?
No, not really.
Okay.
What
Okay, in that case, I'll
details-
just say perhaps we can discuss the ins and outs later today or tomorrow or something.
Well, what kind of thing would you like to discuss? Where they might be deployed or where their homes might be?
Yeah, any kind of,
Well, you can discuss that with my Lord Chamberlain. He is very capable of the acquisition and administration of such things. I, on the other hand, have more pressing matters to deal with, and I honestly don't mean that as an insult, and I hope that you don't take it as such.
I understand.
Well, I am glad that we could offer you this boon, milady, and please accept my condolences again. If that is all, I shall retire to my other business and leave you in the capable hands of the Lord Chamberlain.
I'll just do a little bow.
Okay. So,
Your Highness, if I may.
Majesty, if thou please.
Your Majesty. There is the small matter of Fort Argent and the high ice. They're now left unattended. Somewhat understandably, there's nowhere left to live. But they can't be left as such. There needs to be someone sent up there to keep an eye on things and make sure that what happened to Fort Argent doesn't happen to anywhere else.
I see. And who might you be, Master Elf?
My name is Lor'athel Nightmantle. I'm from the High Forest.
Ah, a moon elf of the High Forest. My father was once of that place. So you propose that I send men and women in the deep of winter to a destroyed structure that is not in my lands and has no strategic importance to me and mine.
Well, Your Majesty, that's where I think you may be mistaken. It's of
I'm
immense...
Sorry, you believe that I am mistaken, Master Elf?
Forgive me, I don't mean to cause offence. I think
Make a persuasion
that...
check.
Yeah.
30-20.
Okay.
Woo!
I shall forgive you this once. Do not forget yourself again.
Of course. I think that the High Ice might be of more strategical importance than might be at first apparent. There were creatures there that can't be ignored, and you'd be a fool to ignore them.
What creatures, pray?
I cast a glance over to Erallur, a glance that says, do we tell her? It's like this.
I'm glad you told me what it was first.
Yeah.
Erallur, roll an insight check.
Oh dear. 18.
Okay, you completely understand what Lor'athel is getting at.
Okay. I just give a little shrug. Not a shake of my head as if to say no, but a shake of my head like, why not?
I sort of awkwardly do it again. Like, well, come on.
But I just gave you permission to tell her.
Okay. Your Majesty, there's a creature, or a collection of creatures, we don't really know, to be honest, out in the high ice. It attacked Fort Argent, and well, to be frank, it won. And it was only through the destruction of the city that we managed to hold it back. And we think that we finished it off, but we can't be sure. It's a hive mind, I suppose. And if even one of the creatures under its control survives, then so does the entirety. And then I go on and give a brief description of the moth things.
I see. If you believe it has been held back to a degree, then perhaps we shall go and investigate, but certainly not now. I cannot send my men into certain death in the colds of the high ice over deep winter. We will send out an expedition in the spring. Does that satisfy, Master Lor'athel?
How far away is spring?
Around 2 months.
Ouch. That's too long. That's not soon enough.
You seem to mistake me again. That I am phrasing it as a question to be polite. What I am actually expecting you to say is yes, Your Majesty.
Right, but I don't give a damn what you expect me to say because you don't rule over me.
She claps her hands once, and 2 guards come from a door that you didn't notice before. It was a blank stone wall when you first saw it. And they come up holding what look like long pikes, but there's a slight flicker to the blades, and they lower them towards you, and one of them says, "We're to escort you outside."
I turn to the guards and turn back to the Queen and give her the curtest nod I can possibly manage, and then say, "People will die."
That was an order, and they jab the spear at you.
I'm going.
They completely miss as you dodge out, and in that slightly awkward, like, skitter thing. But do you start to leave?
Yeah, I go and I side-eye the rest of the group.
Yeah. So they escort you out into the entrance hall and then continue escorting you out until you are out of the castle. And you are left in the mud outside, the flecks of dirt peppering your pristine white armoured boots.
I can't imagine they were pristine still.
Well, you were walking through snow. That washed a lot of the mud off. So, Lor'athel has been escorted out. Does that satisfy Lady Erallur?
Perhaps we could reconvene tomorrow if that's at your convenience.
Unfortunately, it is not. I am rather busy at the moment with winter provisions. I have accepted your proposal. You can deal with the details with my Chamberlain, as I have said, but I grow tired of our conversation. If there is nothing else, I shall withdraw, and you shall leave your people with me and discuss the details with the Chamberlain.
Just give a little nod.
Okay?
Also, do I believe that she's busy with whatever it is she says she's busy
Roll
with?
an insight check.
22.
Oh, she's lying through her teeth.
Okay. I get...
She's not busy at all. She has nothing to do.
Oh,
It's
she's
the
just
winter.
not busy?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Everything is taken care of for her.
Okay. All right, yeah, I'll just nod and let her leave or whatever.
Okay. So she stands and then briskly walks back to the door. The Lord Chamberlain opens the door and lets her through. And
As
disappears.
she's
Yeah?
walking away, I just whisper to Erallur, rather be tired than dead, but whatever.
She doesn't seem to hear. So the door closes and the Lord Chamberlain shuffles over to you, Erallur, and says, shall we discuss where your people shall live out their lives now they have joined Her Majesty's court?
Thank you. Yes. We don't have to play through all the admin.
yeah,
I was
so,
just,
yeah, basically,
Yes, we do. Admin's
No,
important.
relocate an entire people.
We're role-playing the admin. We're doing fantasy spreadsheets.
we are not. So basically, the scouts are put
Celibate.
into the scouting and hunting parties of Castle Hartwick. The family are found house living with another family.
Boop, 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 beep, beep.
Okay, we can kind of hear you, Jess. So we'll
Can you hear me now?
sort of.
Okay, we'll try and continue.
Okay.
This is how.
So
Yeah. Oh
you-
no.
the family.
Yeah,
I feel like
I
she's
used
getting
to
us late
chat.
as well.
if
Yeah.
I have anything.
Oh, dear.
So the family are found at a house with another smaller family, and they are assigned to cleaning with the castle. And the others are, one of whom is still quite injured because it's the woman that had her arm flayed open, is taken to one of the local medical people to facilitate her recovery, and the woman with her goes with her just to oversee and make sure that she's looked after, despite the Lord Chamberlain's assurances that she will be and persuasion that he tries to chivvy her away, but she doesn't take no for an answer. So what would you like to do? You are left to your own devices as the Chamberlain leads you back out into the entrance hall. Lor'athel, have you been doing anything whilst this discussion has been going on, or?
No, just sitting in an alcove patiently.
Okay. A few people look at you slightly oddly. The majority of them seem to be humans. You see a few halflings around, but nothing else really. There certainly aren't any more elves.
Oh, hang on. Is this the room where they were flaying the deer?
No, you've been escorted outside of that room. You're in the
Oh, that's the
courtyard.
next one along. Right, never mind. Yeah, then just sitting, waiting.
Okay.
As we're walking out, I'll just turn to the Chamberlain and so I assume there'll be some kind of accommodation sorted for the daughter of the Zalvirs, but what about the rest of us?
Oh, we wanted to stay the night. You didn't make Her Majesty aware of that.
Then we don't have to stay. We can always, I don't know where we're going to go, but we got here on our own. We can get somewhere else.
Well, I think we probably need to. Sorry, you can bugger off now. So obviously we
Jess is
don't.
back. Oh, right. No, maybe not.
No.
Obviously, we don't know what we're doing next. We've not actually discussed that, but it might be worth having at least a little bit of kip before we make any decisions. I know for sure I'm exhausted, and there surely must be a tavern or some kind of place we can rest our heads somewhere around here.
I'm sure we can find somewhere. Are we back with Lor'athel now?
You're walking through the entrance hall.
Okay.
When Flint told the Chamberlain to bugger off, you were being led through that, but he found it very rude, so stormed off in a bit of a huff before he led you out of the castle.
In that case, I stand up and get in step with the rest of the group.
What's that, Juniper? You think that sleeping's a good idea as well? Ah.
Somebody stuck in a well?
Okay, so you come out into the courtyard, Lor'athel joins you, and you go looking for a tavern?
Yeah, and on the way, I don't feel very good about leaving these people here, but I also think it's probably the best case scenario.
Well,
was I out of order then? Because I don't feel like I was out of order.
oh no, you are fine.
I feel
it's
like
just
once
politics.
again we're dealing with nobles who just can't face the reality of the situation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, but it could have been much, much worse. So,
Well, I'm sorry if I got you into any trouble.
No, you didn't. It's fine. So long as the people are okay here. I mean, they seem happy to stay. Seems like a good deal. But I don't know if I should stay. Like, I'm in charge of the household now, but there is no household. It's now merged into this one, so I don't really know what to do.
I think this is your...
No, you go.
He can't, he's just shoveled ice cream in his mouth.
Suddenly Lor'athel develops manners outside of the royal hall.
So,
I thought you were going to say outside the game then.
all I was going to say was that ultimately these are your people. We have no real stake in this outside
there
of.
are my people though. They're all individuals. They can choose what they want to do, but I just want to make sure that they're in the best position
to make those decisions.
And this place seems fine. I mean, they have more here than they did at Fort Argent. Just because their leader is, the Queen is a little bit big on formality doesn't mean that she's going to treat them badly.
I think this is an opportunity for you to make a decision for yourself, Erallur. These people, as you say, they've landed on their feet. This place seems nice. The seat of your house is gone. And I think if it ever does return, it's going to be a long time. You've got to do what's right for you. You've seen your people to Safe Harbor. What do you want to do next?
Just wish that I knew what my father would do in this situation, because that's what I should be doing. But I know that he wouldn't have got us in this situation in the first place.
Nobody could have stopped this. I mean, we tried and we're amazing. But I tell you what we can do that we do quite well. I think it might be time to have a little bit too much to drink and maybe cause a bit of trouble. Maybe...
What, here?
Despite the Queen's best wishes and despite her best judgment, stir up a few drunken rumours of impending doom from the north. I don't know.
I mean, I agree that it would be nice to let loose, but I feel like I'd be more content doing that further away from here.
I mean, either way, I can get on board with the drinking part.
Yes, we know, Seraphine says. Although, why am I criticising you? I can get on board with the drinking part. Forget I said anything. Drinking.
Well, let's start with the drinking and then we'll see where we go from there. I'm just saying, we've avoided official channels before. If we want to make sure that the same thing that happened at Fort Argent doesn't happen here, then we might need to mobilise the troops, so to speak, in a slightly more underhanded way.
Know if we might have dealt with it, we might not have. I don't know how we're going to find out.
Bless you, Juniper.
We get the people on our side.
And do what?
Get them to demand action.
I don't feel like this is the kind of queen who responds to demands.
Are we bossing saying this?
Are we what? What?
It's a
Avatar
Korra
reference.
yeah. Well, look,
Just
let's,
imagine the mosque of a massive drill.
look, obviously, she said that she's willing to talk to you further about plans, be that herself or by proxy. But,
Wait, she said what?
well, she said that you'll be talking through plans for the return to Fort Argent, did she not? Am I
No,
misrepresenting?
she just said she would send people out in the spring.
Yeah, but didn't she say that you would be privy to conversation about how that would proceed with a chamberlain?
No, that was about the details of the people staying here.
Right.
No, I understand why she wants to wait. It's dangerous on the high ice. You know, she doesn't understand the situation. I mean, we don't understand the situation. We don't know if there's any reason to even go out there.
But wouldn't you rather be sure?
Yeah, but we don't have the resources.
We don't. She does. We saw how fast the wilderness got from the crater to Fort Argent, and I know we've beaten it back, but who's to say it can't get here just as fast, albeit in fewer numbers?
Well, we've warned her about it, so it's her problem now, isn't it?
That's up to you.
I don't think it's up to me.
Well, to be honest, I'm done with her already.
Me too.
But if your people, if that's how you want to see them, are staying here, they're in the firing line.
I think they ceased to be anyone's people when the fort was destroyed.
Again, not to make this about the group, but what are we doing now?
I just want to go back to somewhere nice and safe and not do anything for a while.
I am feeling much the
Juniper
same.
agrees with me.
Of course she does. She's a good girl.
Look at her putting a thumbs up. Does she have thumbs? I don't know.
Yeah, otherwise she couldn't play the lute.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we need to get her another lute as well.
I said as much to Juniper a while back, but I am tired. But in all of you, I found something akin to purpose. So I guess what I'm saying is wherever you go, I go. Where that is, I don't particularly mind, but I'm happy to leave this in your hands, so long as there is drinking involved.
Immediate drinking or eventual drinking?
I mean, both, preferably.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Helagon then. Perhaps this is a little awkward in terms of timing, but I feel that my time with you is done.
What? No.
I came to you when investigating the issue with the unstable portals, and we have now dealt with all of the cults, and I feel that I must go back to my people. I don't really understand most of you, but I hope that I can still call you friends.
Helagon, do you think the portal problem is resolved?
Well, I believe that it was the cults that were mainly causing the issues. Obviously, the wilderness was harvesting some, and from what Lor'athel has said, we're perhaps trying to create another. But I certainly haven't sensed any problems in the Vale since. If I do, then obviously, if you let me know where you are, then I can come and find you.
Where will you be?
Well, my people are a little ways further northeast of here, quite closer than Waterdeep, in fact, just on the eastern edge of the high ice. If I take my broom, I can fly there fairly quickly.
I'm glad you get to go home.
I'm sorry that yours has fallen into hard times.
I appreciate all of your help.
It was an honor, Erallur. That's what people say, isn't it, Lor'athel?
That was a bit hammy, to be honest.
Oh,
if
so close.
Lor'athel thinks it's hammy, then it's pretty hammy.
Sorry for the way that we first met. Obviously, it was a little bit rough and touch and go for a little bit, but
you know, it's sewage under the bridge.
It's
fine.
Well, you know, if you're ever around.
Same, although I'm not sure why you would want to come that far north again. But you know.
Will you join us for one last drink?
And Seraphine just pats him on the back and goes, "Of course he will. I suppose I will."
Then I suppose we have a reason to celebrate. Well, not celebrate.
He's going!
Like, well wishes party.
Yes. That. Seraphine looks very like, oh, this is awkward now.
So we'll head towards the town.
Okay. Do you head towards the town as in where you saw the smoke? Or into the castle town?
No, I think probably the smoke, so it's further away, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, roll an investigation check then if you're looking for the pub.
Can we collectively?
Yeah,
well,
yeah. If you're all looking, then I'd say
I'll help
all
someone
roll
else because I
separately.
have. Oh yeah, okay. I'll roll. Yeah, everyone. Roll.
I have rolled.
Oh, okay. 18.
14.
Okay, yeah. So between you find the village fairly easily. Juniper sniffs out the smell of alcohol very quickly. She rolled a 23. So, Erallur, you see that she's just starting to veer off a little bit early, and she seems to have sensed that somebody is brewing something in their house, and just tap her to move her back onto the right track. And eventually you do find a tavern that has no sign swinging outside, but there is lettering on the building that just says the Cold's Respite. And there's a few people standing outside, but they don't linger for terribly long. They seem to have quite quick conversations whilst they're smoking pipes and then move on. And you can hear a little burble of noise from inside, but not a great throng.
And it looks like the kind of place that has beds and everything. Like
there seems to be a second floor, but that's not illuminated at the moment, which would suggest that there might be some housing up there.
Okay. I look at the others in a kind of, how's this?
If it serves alcohol.
All right, I'll arrange for some rooms and I'll go on in. Can I turn my ring around so that the signet is facing inwards so you wouldn't be able to see it?
Yeah, sure. So do you go over to the bar?
Yes.
Okay. So the majority of the people in here are human. The person behind the bar is bald, has, again, slightly pointed ears, suggesting half-elven ancestry, indeterminate gender. As they stand at the bar, they are just standing happily watching everybody. There's not many people in, but they seem quite happy that there are a few people in at least and spending coin. As you come over to the bar, they say, how may I help you?
Hello, we are after a nice quiet few drinks and perhaps somewhere to stay for the night.
Yes, well, we can offer these things, absolutely. How many rooms do you need?
How many beds per room do you have?
Well, we have a couple of rooms that are just double beds, but the top two, that's in the attic room, they are split between the two. They have multiple beds within them. There are 6 beds in each of those.
Well, there's 5 of us, so I suppose we'll take the one of those rooms with 6 beds.
Right, and you are all right with sharing those?
I glance around at everyone.
Seem pretty happy to?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
There's also 6 of you.
Oh, are there?
Yeah, because there's you 4, Helagon, and Seraphine.
Oh, okay, yes, of course.
Yeah. That is
I'd already got rid of him in my head.
Yeah.
Aww.
That is absolutely fine. We take 1 gold for the evening.
1 gold
For the night.
Okay, yeah, I'll pass over the monies.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And what drinks can I get for you?
Well, first round is on me.
Most generous, most generous. You have a nice friend.
I will just some ale for everyone. Does that
Yes,
suit?
we have a few ales. Would you
And
like
Just a light one for me.
light for you? Yes. Dark light or medium is the choices.
do you have any like barrels that we can just?
You would like a whole barrel?
Well, I imagine rather than have rounds, we could just straight from the tap, right?
I would like a light one. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
imagine
yeah,
you
yeah,
would
yeah.
not.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Roll a persuasion check, Flint.
Okay.
Who's he persuading? Me or the bartender?
The bartender.
Right. Okay, roll. But I forgot how bad my charisma is. 14.
Can I give him disadvantage by shaking my head behind his shoulder at the bartender?
Yeah, roll with disadvantage, Ed.
3!
Sorry.
We don't usually give it by the barrel. They're quite heavy and they cost quite a lot of coin, given how much.
What about for Azalvir?
Can I just like?
I
almost
slowly
whack
start to
him,
reach for your wrist
and
to
then,
just like.
and then I just guide him towards a table and sit him down. Hopefully.
The person looks very confused as this display continues. And then, do you come back to the bar?
I'll
if
stay
he
there
says.
and just. Fine.
If he looks like he's going to stay put, then yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know what a Zalvir is.
That's fine. Thank you.
But you wanted a light ale.
Yes, he'll have a. What does Flint normally have?
Dark, usually, I would think.
Dark ale, something like that. Ed.
I mean, anything alcoholic, honestly.
Yeah, I'll order him a dark ale, and then everyone else is here, so.
Yeah.
And he's gone, so I'll pay for it.
Okay, so it comes to 5 silver altogether. Okay. So you have your drinks. You go over to your table. You're not disturbed by anyone. Nobody seems to give you a second glance.
What's the general feel? People that live here, do they seem happy?
Are you asking the bar person that, or just doing an insight check?
No, just I'm trying to get a sense of
roll an insight check.
Oh man, this is going so well. 23.
Yeah, people seem quite happy. The people that you see in the bar seem to be fairly fit in the sense that they are all quite muscled or quite athletic looking. It looks like they work quite hard for their lives, but it seems that they actually take quite a great deal of pleasure in a good hard day's work and seem to be enjoying, though quietly, the boon of being able to afford drinks after a long day's toil.
I'd like to ask the bartender.
Mm-hmm.
So, what happens if someone isn't a very hard worker around here? It seems like you're all quite capable.
Oh well, I thank you. That is very kind. We try our best, but if people choose not to work hard or are unable to, then there is a degree that others will look after them, or they will not have the pleasures of life as easily available to them. We earn money for the tasks that we do, or we earn board. I myself am allowed to own this building, having worked a few years as a labourer. But, it is a case of if you are unwilling to work as hard as everybody else, you are still able to live. It's just maybe not in as much luxury as everyone else.
Sounds like a very fair system.
You wouldn't be sent to a labour camp or other barbaric practices that I have heard of in some lands to the west of here.
Sounds like a good way of doing things.
Well, I
would have liked it.
I like to think so. Obviously, the problems come up from time to time, but my interaction with the nobility and my single interaction with Her Majesty has been very positive.
Do I believe them?
Roll an insight check.
Every time I roll, it goes further behind my laptop. 18.
18.
No, 14.
14. They seem very genuine.
Thank you. And then I just go back.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Seems pretty good around here, with the exception of one person, maybe two.
Well, you accepted nobility's always a little bit up its own arse.
Yeah, can be.
And you don't have to be noble to be up your own arse, eh, Lor'athel?
No.
Well, cheers, everyone. Clink.
Such great Foley work, Ed, there.
Hang on.
There we go. That's good.
That
For
was
like a bell.
pleasant.
Yeah.
Last orders.
At 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
That's how they get so
well,
much
you know.
work done.
It's canon now.
I'm assuming when we left the hall and everything, the people that we were with were taken off and
Yes,
taken
yes.
care of
They
and
haven't
stuff,
just
right?
followed
We didn't-
No,
us
they haven't,
into
they
the
haven't followed you.
Okay.
bar.
Can we have a drink as well, please?
No.
But like they all have places to stay tonight.
Yes,
Presumably.
yes.
Okay, cool.
You definitely were given that impression, and
Yeah, okay.
servants led them off in particular directions. So
I feel like I very quickly just abandoned these people here.
Hello, will you take my refugees? Sure. Okay, bye.
I'm off to the pub.
Housing crisis sorted.
I think I'm gonna just spend this evening just quietly having a drink or two amongst my friends, but I'm not gonna it's not gonna be a big night,
Yeah.
you know. I'm gonna observe, really, is what I'm trying to say.
yeah,
So, how long are we staying? And I guess more to the point, where are we going?
I have no desire to stay much longer than necessary. To be honest, if everyone from Fort Argent is happy here, I'd be pleased to leave in the morning.
Fair.
In terms of where we're going, I'd quite like to go back and see Hawkins, Orchids and Dawkins, who are somewhere. I probably know where they are.
Yeah.
you said
They're
meet
looking
them
after the
in-
pub.
Yeah, you said you'd meet them in Waterdeep.
Are they still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll get back and it'll be a thriving business.
I hope so.
Well, you gave instructions on to how to access your money, and
Yeah.
you said
They're very capable.
try your best, so it may well be.
Oh my god, you're gonna have no money.
Out of interest,
Mhm.
what, just through walking through, what's the smithing scene like here?
What did you roll on your perception check before? Can you remember?
It was a 14, I think.
Yeah. So you didn't see much in the way of smithing. It was more farriers than armor and weaponry.
Hmm.
But there was a farriers that you saw in passing.
Okay. I'll leave it. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, it's not. I think I know what you're thinking about. There probably wouldn't be a place that could give you the metals you need to make another cannon.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, you know what I've just realised?
What?
Mm.
Did Thelios put loads of money in a bank as well?
Yeah.
Do
Mhm.
we have access to that?
No.
But aren't a couple of our signatories on one account?
Not
It
that
says
one.
on my notes, Erallur, Lor'athel and Juniper are signatories.
Yeah, but that won't be to his account.
Yeah, I think we all put in. I've got a list of how much money, but I don't have anything for Thelios. I've got 5,000 gold for me, 5,000 for Seraphine, 5,000 for Heligon, 4,000 for Lor'athel, 3,000 for Juniper.
Then Thelios probably didn't put any in.
He didn't put any in.
No.
Okay, but then neither did Flint. Well,
Yeah, Flint.
Heligon, what do you want to do with your money that's in the bank?
Oh, well, it's not really that much use to me. I don't mind if you want to use it. I don't really understand how it works, to be honest.
Do you not use money?
No, we just look after each other.
Oh, well, that's nice.
I sense that Flint wants it.
What? No. How could you say such a thing? Helagon.
You were making that motion with your hands. Does that not mean...
Helagon, we've been so close
Oh,
for
is
so
that-
long. Why would you think that of me?
I thought that motion meant you wanted it. Does it in fact mean that you're coming on to me?
No, I was batting my eyes because I'm feeling very tearful at the moment.
Roll a deception check.
Can I give him disadvantage by shaking my head next to him?
Well, I mean, Helagon has disadvantage anyway because he doesn't understand social cues.
13.
That's very touching, Flint. Thank you.
Just a little. There we go.
I lean over and take a closer look. Is that ale?
In my eye. Yes, is what I mean. Yes.
Okay.
I'm very confused. Erallur, you can have my coin. I
Thank you.
don't have need of it.
That's very kind. How might we contact you if we needed to?
I don't really know. The Black Staff is able to speak to you over distance, is she not?
So we could ask her. Yeah.
Well,
that's a good idea.
either that. I mean, she might be quite occupied elsewhere. I wouldn't want to distract her, but I imagine she could tell you how to do such a thing, or there might be a way of learning too. I don't know.
Maybe.
Or a scroll, perhaps.
Yeah.
So, anything else that you want to say to each other, or do you just let the drink pass?
I have only one request of Helagon, besides be safe and be well. If we do ever call you back, I imagine it would be for something, well, I imagine it would be because we were desperate and in need of help. If that time ever comes, when you arrive through your portal, before you do, I'd like you to say on your left, if that's all right.
But what if I'm...
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what side you're on. I want you to say on your left, okay?
Is this a reference to
I see.
something?
It
like
is,
that?
It is a reference.
Okay.
I suppose if that's what you want, then
Yeah,
yes, of course.
more than anything in the world right now. Please. I am a couple of ales in, but please.
I mean, you're usually a couple of ales in, Flint.
I know, no, this hasn't gone to my head at all.
I feel like more attuned with Helagon than ever before. I have no idea what's going on.
Of course.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That means
He
the world.
just whispers to Juniper. Juniper, does on your left mean something to Flint?
I mean, you're in
I
time.
think we can hear you.
Okay, you're okay. I was just about to
All we
say,
can hear is.
this is the true ASMR experience. I am just, yeah. God, rural internet, you've got to love it. It's the best. I think Juniper will look at him and very solemnly go, yes, and not expand on it.
Very good, very good. All right. Of course I will do that, Flint.
Thank you very much.
So the evening passes. Erallur retires after a couple. Do the rest of you drink more? I'm assuming, Flint, that you do.
Oh, very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So second round will be 5 silver.
Mate,
Can I actually, instead of going to bed,
Mm-hmm.
assuming it's not ridiculously late,
Oh, no, it's not late at all.
can I
By the time you've had
just-
2 drinks, it's maybe 6:30.
Okay, great. Can I just have a
To
wander
bed.
around the town,
Yeah?
checking for anything suspicious, because it all seems a bit too good to be true?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Basically checking to see if what I've been told by the bartender guy is true. Like, do people seem to
By
be...
the bartender person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do they seem to be, content and...
Yeah, I would say roll an investigation check and then roll an insight check.
Investigation is 16.
Okay, that will
Well,
give you
what is it?
enough to roll insight with advantage.
Okay. Good. Okay. 15.
Yeah, so unusually, given your familiarity with a fairly frugal existence and also your experience with larger cities like Waterdeep, there aren't any beggars on the streets. There doesn't seem to be anybody in financial distress immediately obvious. There's a few more dilapidated houses here and there, but it seems like they're either not occupied or only occupied by one person. And they are larger than the majority of houses in large cities like Waterdeep. People seem to be chatting with each other. Those who are out in the cold seem to be fairly companionable. It seems like your initial assessment and the assessment of the bartender was pretty accurate. It's not the easiest of existences by any stretch, but it's not the worst.
Okay. Now I will go to bed.
Okay. So
More
Flint,
content.
yeah. So Flint, you pay for the second round.
Mm-hmm.
And then how many rounds does everybody stick around for?
As many as everyone else is willing.
I feel like you're leading this.
Yeah.
I'm
going to go with 5.
Until last orders.
So Helagon,
Yeah.
Helagon leaves after the third. Seraphine stays until the end. And then do Juniper and Lor'athel stay to the end as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
How many
fourth,
rounds until end?
5th, I think.
5th. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll deduct that.
Oh, are you paying for all of them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've
so
got
that's-
more money than I've
Well,
ever
I
had
paid
in my
for the
life.
first one, so
Yeah,
you
yeah,
paid
yeah.
for 4.
But so
Is
that
this
would
5 barrels?
so Flint, that would be 15 more silver on top of the 5 that you already paid.
Bargain.
Yeah, things are cheap up north.
That's
Like
like
a nice place to live.
£1.50.
No, you really don't understand how fantasy money works, Simon.
It's
This
at
is
least like
by-
a tenth of a good breakfast.
Yeah.
So, Flint, Juniper, Lor'athel, can you roll Constitution saving throws for me, please?
Sure.
Guys, if we have to do a big fight in the middle of the night and you guys are all drunk and hungover, I'm going to be so
It's
annoyed.
happening. It's happening. They're
That'd be
definitely
amazing.
sacrificing all of the
21.
Yeah,
refugees
they're
to the
killing
dear
all the
god.
poor people.
Would
Definitely.
I do that?
They're sacrificing
you?
all of the refugees to their horrible dear god covered in velvet.
Oh, hell yeah. It'd be like Firebringer.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Wicker Man. 18.
18?
Oh, well, I got a 6.
Okay, Juniper is sloshed. The rest of you,
She-
pretty okay.
She's having a great time. She's also the smallest person, so I
Yes.
feel like, biologically speaking, it's quite sensible.
Yeah, she's now probably about 60% ale.
Yeah, you know, and it really shows.
If you shake her, she goes like slosh.
Yeah. So, after the 5th round, Juniper toddling around the room, barking at random things. Do you go to bed?
Yeah. I'll guide Juniper upstairs
Yeah,
and
that's
eventually
probably
just
a
like
good idea.
pick her up so that all of her 4 paws are just like waggling in the air and just
Aren't you like the same size?
I'm a little bit taller.
Juniper's smaller.
Right.
Yeah, I'm also a bit skinnier, I think, even though corgis are a bit fat.
Does Juniper have a long tail or a bob? I can never remember.
I think it's like a bob. I've never.
Yeah. Corgis usually
don't-
have the short one.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're usually, what do you call it, docked,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Yeah.
Which is quite awkward. Which, given her upbringing, it probably was docked. So yeah, it's probably a docked.
Okay. So yes, you go up the stairs and to bed. Helagon is already asleep. I assume Erallur is already asleep as well.
Yeah, probably.
And they are on opposite ends of the room. So there's 3 beds in a row on either end of the room. Helagon has gone for the one on the closest to the door on the right. Erallur, I assume you've probably gone for the furthest one on the left, just so you're not
Yeah.
in the way of anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you all go to sleep or meditate?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Lor'athel, can you roll a perception check for me, please? This is during your meditation.
8.
8.
We always forget
Okay.
to do watches.
Well, you're in.
I was asleep, so.
Yeah. You're in a tavern. From your various insight checks and investigations, you seem to feel quite safe.
Even if me, the player, does not feel safe.
No,
Me, the character. does.
in character.
Narrative dissonance.
So the rest passes without incident. Lor'athel, you come out quite a lot earlier than everybody else, and Flint snores quite a lot, and so does Juniper. Actually, it's quite a warbling snore from Juniper. Lor'athel, As you're coming out of your meditation, you notice that one of the beds on the opposite side to your side of the room hasn't been disturbed.
As in, there's nobody
No,
in the bed.
no,
Seraphine never came up, did she?
she did not.
Okay. I quietly unfold my legs and get up off the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And what time is it?
I think given when you probably went to bed, it's probably 2 o'clock in the morning.
2 in the morning. Okay.
Just because you started drinking quite early.
Yeah.
And then as you drank more, you went through rounds quicker.
Yeah. I'll sneak over to her bed. Are any of her things there?
Roll an investigation check.
Dirty 20.
No, there is no sign that it has been disturbed or even approached.
Even approached. Okay. When we came up, she left before the end of the last round, didn't she?
No, she left with you guys, I think.
No,
She left at the
Stayed
last
till the
round.
end.
It was at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I remember where she went?
She seemed to be coming up with you, but then
She listened to me.
didn't seem to go to bed. Seemed to
Okay.
be waiting around.
Righto. I'm going to grab some of my things.
Mm-hmm.
I just grab my pack.
Roll a
And-
perception check.
14.
Okay, so you grab your pack, and then you look at the armor that you've doffed, and you notice that one of the braces is missing.
Is it around anywhere?
Not in the room.
It's not around anywhere. Okay. Oh dear. I don't actually put it on though.
Okay,
I'm just literally
Yeah.
grabbing my pack.
but yeah,
Like,
as you grab your
pack
pack,
stuff.
you notice that a piece
Yeah.
of armor is missing.
Yeah. Strange. And it was definitely there when I took it off. Okay, so I go over and open the door.
Yeah.
And head downstairs to the bar area.
Okay,
Can I hear anything as I'm doing that?
roll a perception check.
14.
Seems fairly quiet. The lights are lower than they were before, and you can hear a few noises coming from the back room, but doesn't seem to be anybody in the bar or making much noise.
No. The back room is in like the staff area.
Yeah.
Okay. I go over to the bar, and the back room goes off the bar, I assume.
Yes.
Can I see any lights coming in through there?
Roll another perception check.
8.
No, doesn't seem to be any light. The door seems to be fairly snugly fit. Seems like the last,
Okay.
the finishing touches of the day are being done. The money's being calculated, something like that.
I go round the other side of the bar
Mhm.
and just gently knock on the door.
Okay. There's a brief moment of, and somebody comes to the door and opens it, and you see that it's the bartender from before, looking quite tired, and their ears have drooped slightly, and their eyes are a little bit bloodshot, and they look at you and go, can I help you?
I'm so sorry to disturb you, but one of our party isn't in her bed, and I wondered if you'd seen anybody coming or going.
I can't say I noticed. I thought she... which party member was it?
What does... Lor'athel noticed that he said she. Oh, wait, no, I did say she's not in her bed, didn't I?
Yeah.
I was being too clever for my own good then.
Also, just to pull you up again, they are a they.
Who is, sorry?
The bartender.
Oh, okay, yeah. Which party member? We had a drow in our company.
Oh, well, she went up with you, and you were the last to go up, so I went into the back to get my cleaning supplies and started to... I thought she was up there with you. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you. Sorry to bother you.
Well, perhaps that note attached to my door might enlighten you, and you see that they are pointing at a rather crudely marked piece of paper that is pinned to the door with one of your hand axes.
Was it on my side of the door?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You rolled an 8.
I did. I rolled an 8. I can clear my eyes. Oh. And then tear it off and read it.
It's not very clearly written. The handwriting is a little bit iffy, but it says, I took a piece of Thelios's armor to remember him by. I tried to take an axe to remember you by, but then I remembered that you could summon it back, so there was no point. You're great. Bye. S.
That bastard took my gauntlet.
And then just as you flip over the paper, you see that there's a PS, and it went, I thought it would be funny, and I was right.
I pull my hand axe out of the door, and then I rush over and open the door to the street and step outside.
Yeah.
And I look both ways. Is there any sign of the little shit?
Make another perception check.
23.
No sign at all. There's nobody
No
out.
sign at all.
Does that
You
affect
just-
your armor class, or is it so small a part of the armor that it doesn't make a
It's
difference?
my Achilles wrist.
You could probably wear it on your shield arm, so it
Yeah.
probably actually wouldn't make any effect on your armor class.
Yeah.
But yeah, you only see
I
the silhouette of an owl just flitting past the crescent moon.
yeah.
Except
I
it's
gaze
just
after the
like-
owl, shake my head, and just say, "Fuck you, owl. Fuck you," and then walk back inside, hoping that she chooses not to turn into a deer while she's kind of in the vicinity. Yeah, and I think I'll just take a seat in the bar quietly and read through the old battered spellbook that I have just to pass the time.
Okay. So the rest of you come to consciousness around 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. Erallur, you've had a good long rest. As you awake, Helagon starts to gather his things and nods to all of you and then starts to go downstairs. What do the rest of you do?
Sounds like an aeroplane's taking off.
What is that?
It's Helagon's broom.
Like, woo!
It's always made that noise, folks. I don't...
Yeah, I'll pick up my stuff and head on downstairs.
Yeah.
Feeling
Yeah.
nice and fresh.
I'll do the same, feeling equally nice and fresh.
Are you?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm feeling
he's
great.
pretty good.
Yeah.
He rolled pretty well on his constitution
I did
check.
sleep longer than you, so.
This is true.
No.
There is a breakfast spread waiting on the table for
A
you
very
all.
Aw.
expensive one.
How much
No,
did
no.
you pay?
No, a reasonably priced breakfast for 6.
Okay, for
5 for 5.
for 5. that
For the
would-
price of 6.
That would cost you 7 silver.
Just when Seraphine comes back, so I'm like,
Oh.
where's my breakfast?
Bargain.
Yeah, it's
How's
fairly.
Juniper feeling?
Juniper's feeling a little worse for wear. Little bit like you've licked yourself a bit too much. Very fuzzy.
Oh
mouthed.
no, that's always the worst.
Yeah,
We've all been there.
Yeah, we really have.
yeah, little bit fuzzy mouths, little bit heavy-headed.
Tell me about it.
Are we downstairs now?
Yes.
Just for 5, Lor'athel? What? I don't know, I'm looking around, counting all of us.
I thought you counted bacon slices.
No, there's a breakfast
See.
spread, right? There's like plates and stuff.
Yeah. I take a sip of, I don't know, what do you have, like breakfast ale? I just imagine it's always ale.
Coffee
There's
flavoured ale.
water
Oh.
and there's elderflower cordial and things like that.
Oh yes. Excuse
Nice.
me, sign me up for the elderflower cordial.
Yes.
Of a nice breakfast wine. And then
That's perfectly reasonable.
reach in my pocket and take out the note.
Yeah, you see a dirty piece of parchment. And Lor'athel, as you look at it again, and you've been flicking through your spellbook, you realise that she stole a piece of paper out of that spellbook.
Honestly, I think that would have taken all night to notice because this spellbook is a wreck.
Yeah, exactly.
I pick up the note and look at both sides,
Yeah.
put it down and go, why did she just want to remember Lor'athel?
Elios, I'm Lor'athel.
I thought she took your... Oh, it said to remember Thelios because it was Thelios's armour.
Yeah.
Right, okay, sorry, I was still thinking it was always your armour.
And then she also tried to take his hand axe to remember him,
Yeah,
but you sense that she was actually just trying to fuck with him.
got it. Okay. Well,
On the
that's quite
bright
sweet
side-
then. Now I realise
well-
what she said.
And on the bright side, I think she finally managed to fly away. Either that or it was just an owl. I was quite drunk. But please, help yourselves. It's the least I can do after all of the ale from yesterday.
Well,
I just...
it wouldn't be a Bane glorious morning without a Lor'athel breakfast.
Inglorious morning. That's nice. I'm just going to have a nice quiet breakfast and think about Seraphine and, respectfully.
Clips episode.
Whatever.
Clips episode.
I will remember you. Okay, so you have your breakfast. It's hearty and mighty. Are there any more conversations you want to have, or do you want to set off?
I mean,
General
where
chit chat.
are we
Yeah,
heading off?
Yeah.
Have
To
you seen
re-
the stocks?
Are we heading back to Waterdeep? Or-
Was the impression we don't have to go and see the Queen again, do we? That
No.
wasn't the implication.
No?
Okay.
Black stuff, do you mean? Oh, the Queen here.
No, the Queen, yeah.
Oh.
I would like to go. Is the black stuff in Waterdeep?
She is.
Okay, great. Yeah, let's somehow get back to Waterdeep.
I think we need to make sure that we've done everything we need to do. We may well have dealt with all the cults, but it seems a bit like an open case.
What the
whole
wilderness?
Going back in time, cults, portals, everything.
Oh, the portals.
Yeah, I mean, remember we came up here originally to chase the air cult. We found them.
But I thought that we'd got to the end of that, hadn't we?
We did, but I don't know. Something tells me that this doesn't seem like the right conclusion.
What do you want to do?
Just go and see her. Tell her what happened.
Go and see.
And go from there. The black stuff.
Oh, yeah. So back towards Waterdeep.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying we should stay here.
Oh no! I don't want to stay here a second longer than we have.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I'd also like to go and see the black staff anyway. So.
Okay.
How long would it take us to get to Waterdeep?
It will take you a long time.
Is
It
that
took
where did we come from?
You came from Waterdeep originally. You went into the Desserin Valley and found the tower that the air cult had been operating from.
Mm-hmm.
And then you cut north through Silvery Moon and then up into the high ice from there. It took you a couple of months.
Okay, but we have a route because we've done it before.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, I would like to, and I guess I'll tell the group while we're here, I wonder if it might be a nice idea to go via Silvery Moon and find where Thelios used to live. And
Yartar.
That was in Yartar.
Yartar.
Yeah, but it said I wrote down that he trained in Yartar, but he lived in a village outside Silvery Moon.
He did, yeah.
And I don't know are they not close by? I thought they were.
They are, but Silvery Moon is further north, and the villages were in slightly southeast of that, and then Yartar is southwest.
So which would be best on our route?
Yartar would probably have records.
You could probably circle around Silvery Moon to hit the villages, but you're not exactly sure where it is.
Yeah. I was just thinking we could we could just take a moment to remember him and appreciate him in a place that he knew while we're here.
I'd say
I think
that's
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you wanting to head to Silvery Moon and ask around where those villages might be, or are you wanting to search out the villages?
I mean, it doesn't have to be like exactly, I suppose, where he lived, but we can do.
It's up to you.
What do you guys want to do?
I mean, I don't mind. I think that I'm happy to take our time over it and give him the respect that he most definitely deserves.
Okay, so we'll go and try and actually find where he lived then.
Okay.
I guess.
Remember as well, just as a point of detail, that he trained in Yartar and there are the other members of his order there that you met along the way. Whether you want to go and tell them what happened or not is obviously entirely up to you. But
that's why I said I think if we go there and we can do that and then also find out,
yeah.
they'll have records of where he came from, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
okay, so you're wanting to head to Yartar as your primary target first?
Yes.
Okay, so are you wanting to go through Silvery Moon or are you wanting to bypass Silvery Moon?
I think the idea is, am I right in thinking we're going to Yartar first and then going to find where he lived?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'd sort of have to double back on yourself a little bit to do that. Is that okay?
I think that's okay. We're not in a rush.
No?
No.
Okay, that's fine. So, for the sake of brevity, you start travelling. You spend a number of days on the road. It takes quite a long
Is
time.
Helagon gone now, by the way?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, good.
You
We
say-
had like a good goodbye.
Yeah. You say it's after breakfast.
We
You
had
say
a good goodbye.
you say
good
your
goodbye.
goodbyes, and he slings the bow over his shoulder and carries the broom over the other, and walks off into the snow in the opposite direction.
Oh, I thought he was going to fly off, and like
No.
Hedwig's theme would play.
No. So you travel down. Again, it's cold, but it slowly gets warmer as you travel further south. You see very few people on your route down. There are a few nights where you have to camp in thickets and near streams. Can you make perception checks for me, please?
Kind.
Spot and listen and smell.
Okay.
Oh, just perception for me. 11.
Thank you, Simon.
4.
21.
10.
Really tall bushes.
Yours was a 10, did you say,
Yeah,
Kathryn?
10.
Okay. Around a 10 day after you first set off, Juniper, whilst everybody else is setting up camp and you're helping out and just practicing on your old loot, because I think you still have a normal loot. Don't you?
Yeah, that was a magic loot we found, the DOS loot. So
Yeah.
I have a regular loot, but
Yeah.
it doesn't come with.
So you're just
Feature
trying
spells.
to tune it. You're trying to make it sound as good as the DOS loot sounded, but it's just not coming together. But you just catch as everybody else is setting up and you're playing to soothe their minds from a hard day's walk. There's a smell of smoke just on the air.
Where's it coming from? Can I tell where what
It's
direction
coming
it's
from slightly off the road. You already are slightly off the road, and it's coming from southwest of you.
Something's burning.
So sorry, how far away are we at this point?
From
Well, either. How long have we been on the
you've
road?
spent a 10-day.
So where are
travelling.
we? How far
So
from?
You've got probably 7 more 10 days before you reach Waterdeep. So if you're going to Yartar first, it's maybe 2 more 10 days, 3 more.
Okay.
You are hardy people and you walk quite a long distance in a day. So, it depends whether you run into anything. You haven't so far.
Yeah. Okay. Can I see any smoke?
Roll another perception check.
That's another 10.
No, doesn't seem to be any on the horizon. It's just that Juniper has smelt something.
Is it just smoke that you smell?
I sniff again. Is it just smoke that I smell?
No, there is a distinct hint of cooking meat to it. If you had to put a guess, probably rabbit.
I think somebody's cooking some rabbit.
Oh, that doesn't sound too suspicious. Must be a
No,
camp nearby.
Suggest we potentially watch ourselves just in case.
Do you know how far away it is, Juniper?
Can I make a guess about
Roll a survival check.
Okay, cool. I don't actually know what my survival thing is. Let me check. It's one of the ones where I've only got a +3. One of those crap.
Only a +3.
I mean, that's a 9. What a terrible time.
It's quite hard to discern how far
Yeah.
away it might be, but given that you can smell it to that degree, not terribly.
And in this area that we are in, is it fairly common to see other travellers?
It can be, not usually at this time of year though.
Yeah, Flint's right. We should just be a bit cautious.
Okay, so do you set watches?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
who takes first watch?
I'll take first watch.
Okay. So the rest of you come to rest. Flint, can you make a perception check for me, please?
It's an 11.
There's a few animal cries that you hear through the night. Not much else.
Mm-hmm.
Who's taking next watch? Sorry.
Take second.
Yeah, Lor'athel, can you roll a perception check?
11.
Reaches the portion of the night where nocturnal animals are out. You hear a little bit more noise, but you're in quite open area, so there aren't many trees around. Nothing else happens. You will come to consciousness. The night having passed without incident. Do you carry on?
Yeah.
Can you still smell that smoke, Juniper? Or
Roll a perception check
sniff.
with advantage.
Okay, that's a 23.
You can smell a dying fire,
Mhm.
like the last embers of it. The rabbit smell has gone,
Mhm.
and there's also a slightly dank smell, bit like sweat.
I think they left and ate the rabbit, and now they're sweaty.
which direction are they, Juniper? Are they in the direction we're going?
I assume I have a vague idea of
Yeah,
what direction it is.
little ways further down the road, but off it, like you.
Okay.
Yeah, motion with my little paws.
Shall we carry on and just make sure that we're maybe a bit more careful and quiet as we pass this area?
Okay.
Sounds good. I'll go slightly ahead and see if I can find anything.
Okay, so roll a perception check then, please.
22.
As you scout on ahead and the others bring up the tail, are you trying to move stealthily or are you just investigating?
Yes, stealthily, just...
Okay, roll a stealth check with disadvantage then.
No.
Mhm.
Oh no. 6.
Okay. Okay, so you come around a bend in the road, and this isn't really a road at this point, it's more of a footpath track. There aren't many people who travel this that frequently, so infrastructure hasn't really built to that point. But you can see in a little outcrop underneath a jagged bit of rock, you can see a campfire that has gone out, and you can see 3 individuals who are rolling up bedrolls and taking up tent spikes from the ground. One of them is a red tiefling who has horns that just, not very large, but jut out from the forehead and arch a little way back over their hair, which is tied in quite a long plait that runs down their back. They are wearing slightly posher studded leather armor than you were used to seeing. It's got gold embroidery running around the metal studs. And at their side is quite a long saber. You also see a silver dragonborn who is adorned in quite heavy armor, similar to your own, but is actually just a slightly off bluey silver. If you had to put a name to the color, you'd say that it was platinum. And they have slight frills that run from their chin and arced skin around the top of their head in a crown of scales. And they carry at their side a rather large mace that has the roaring face of a dragon as its bludgeoning end. And you see the third person is wearing a dark black cloak, is quite a lot shorter than the other two. A halfling, maybe a gnome, but they are moving quite rapidly and their fingers are tying up ropes quite quickly and quite deftly. And as you come clanking over the hill, they all turn to look at you. And the tiefling goes, "Ah, hello, friend, a fellow traveller on the road. Nice to see you.
Morning.
How are you, my friend?"
Very well. Very well. And yourselves?
"Ah, quite well, quite well. We had a good night out here in the cold. None of us died of hypothermia, so we count it as a win."
That's the most you can ask for at this altitude.
Indeed, indeed. Who do I have the honour of addressing?
Lor'athel of the High Forest.
Ah, my name is Asta Bartholomew de Rosina Hibiscus VI, but you may call me Sixth.
Lovely. I'll get our group secretary to write that down.
You have a group secretary. Very organized. Very organized. I am impressed.
That's some impressive gear that you all have.
I thank you. We try.
Clearly got a blacksmith who knows his stuff.
Ah, yes. Well, the blacksmiths of Baldur's Gate are second to none.
So you're from Baldur's Gate?
Not originally, but, we spent some time there, did some jobs,
And what brings you out here in the north?
We were told that there are some gnolls up here making some trouble, so we decided to see if we might make some trouble for them.
Well, I'm sure you're perfectly capable to ruin their day if you chose to.
Well, they seem to have holed up in some cave somewhere. We can't find them for love nor money.
What's the halfling doing while this conversation's going on?
Roll a perception check.
21.
Seems to have slipped one of their hands beneath their cloak. And you can see that the hood hangs quite low and actually finishes in a triangular point to hide more of their face. You're not really sure what that hand might be doing, but you suspect it's probably nothing good.
I'll keep an eye on it as we go.
And the others round the corner at this point, and you are confronted with Lor'athel speaking to these 3 individuals.
Anyway, we didn't mean to bother you. It's just
no bother at all, my friend. No bother at all.
One of my companions smelt fire during the night, and we just wanted to make sure that nothing was untoward.
Ah, well, we were hoping that the smell of rabbit might draw the gnolls to us, and we could engage them in battle. But alas, only your compatriots smelled it. Perhaps-
What was that about Knowles? Sorry.
Oh,
We have some knoll hunters here.
yes, we are looking for them. They the head of a knoll fetches quite a few coins in Cornmeal.
Right. Okay.
Although, as I've said, it looks like they're not too short on money. Erallur, are there knolls in this part of the world? And as I say that, I turn around so my back's to them. And
Okay, are there knolls in this kind of area?
Roll a history check.
I mean, I'm not from here so much, so
That's why the DC is higher.
yeah, 21.
There are knolls in quite a few areas of Faerun. It's perfectly reasonable for there to be knolls in this part.
That is exactly what I say.
that's what I say. Well, if they're everywhere, maybe we should get into the knoll trade. It's definitely interested in finding out where you got all of that gear in Baldur's Gate. Did you say?
Yes, well, you mean to give us competition, do you, Master Lord? A good old bit of competition between adventurers. I do miss it, but I must warn you, we are formidable.
No, well, not today. We'll let you have it for today.
Yes, you don't want Pendrina to smash that pretty armor of yours, I'm sure. And the Dragonborn just breathes a sigh.
Well, it was nice to meet you. Best of luck with your knoll hunting. And then I put my arms behind whoever's next to me and start walking away.
It's nice to meet you too. Erallur, was it?
Oh yeah, Lor'athel used my name. Yes. Nice to meet you.
Well, good luck on the road, Master Lor'athel. I wish you all the best.
And good luck to you as well, and to your companion. Sorry, I didn't get your name.
I apologize. Pendrina Scalesinger. And the Dragonborn nods her head, and she says, "A pleasure." And
I nod my head back.
Our halfling friend, Kinse Hurlpebble.
How are you spelling that?
Kinse.
Yeah.
And then Hurlpebble is as it sounds.
Like, yeah.
I've written
Exactly.
Hurl Pepper for some reason.
It's that same thing, but it's Ainsley Harriet. Very.
And as Sixth turns and looks at his friends, and he just looks at Kinse and says, "Kinse, we're not going to stab him. Please take your hand off the knife." And the halfling shrugs and slips the hand back from under the cloak. I apologize for my friend's rudeness, Master Lor'athel. We wish you all the best on the road.
You can't be too careful. Good hunting.
Indeed. Certainly not around Kinse. He will steal your coin purse and fuck your mother.
Good day.
A good day to you. I always am good at leaving them speechless, aren't I? And starts walking off as the others gather the last of their things in the opposite direction to you.
Please tell me these are recurring NPCs.
They might.
We just keep
Brilliant.
bumping into them.
They might be.
They're going to be.
Erallur doesn't seem to want to spend a lot of time with them.
They're going to be the competition that's just killed the boss when we get to the last room of the
Yeah.
dungeon.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want the manticore's head?
Like, we keep hearing all these whispers about the really scary adventuring party going around, and we think it's us, and then it turns out it's these guys.
Yeah.
You
And like
continue-
they've already beaten the Elite Four.
Yeah.
So you continue on the road?
Yes.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay. So you spend another few days walking down towards Yartar, and that is where we will end tonight's session.
Ta-ta.
Not
Oh,
all.
your turn.
Ta-ta.
It's back. Lovely. Right. I hope you enjoyed that, folks.
Very much so.
No, it was awful.
Oh, sorry.
It's not number 69.
We need
5 more.
Might even get there before the end of lockdown.
Maybe. We'll see. Thank you very much for playing. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for listening and bearing with our tech issues. Rural internet, fist
I
shaking.
thought we did quite well.
I think it went
Oh,
all right. And
okay.
Jess, you did come back into it.
I did. I don't know why it just decided to start working again, but
Ah, well.
I'm not going to
We shall
complain.
not look a gift corgi in the mouth.
Ha 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 ha.
Everybody who wants to say bye, say bye.
Bye.
Beep boop, beep boop.
Boop, boop,
Bye,
beep,
folks.
beep, boop.